Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Storytime with Uncle Monkey. I am your Uncle Monkey. Today's story is called The Three Spinners. There once was a lazy girl who didn't want to spin flax into yarn, and no matter what her mother said, she couldn't make her do it. Finally, her mother was overcome with anger and impatience, so that she hit her, which made her start weeping loudly. Now, just at that moment, the queen was driving by in her carriage, and when the queen heard the weeping, she ordered her carriage halted, and she entered the house and asked the mother why she was beating her daughter so hard that her screams could be heard out in the street. Then the woman was so ashamed to make her daughter's laziness public, and she said, "I can't make her stop spinning flax into yarn. She wants to go on spinning eternally, and I'm poor and I can't provide the flax." Then the queen replied, "The sound of spinning is my favorite sound in the world, and I would never be happier than when the wheels hum and the flax is made into yarn. Let me take your daughter to the palace. I have enough flax, and she can spin to her heart's content." The mother was extremely satisfied, and the queen took the girl along. When they arrived at the palace, the queen led the girl upstairs to three rooms that were filled from top to bottom with the most beautiful flax. "Now spin this flax for me," said the queen, "and if you accomplish this, you shall have my eldest son for your husband. Even if you're poor, I don't mind that. Your tireless industry is enough of a dowry." The girl was frightened in her heart because she couldn't spin the flax even if she lived 300 years, sitting at the job every day from morning until evening. So when she was alone, she started weeping, and she sat that way for 3 days without lifting a finger. On the third day, the queen came, and when she saw that no spinning had been done, she was amazed and a little confused. But the girl made the excuse that she hadn't been able to begin yet because she was so melancholy about being taken away from her mother's house. The queen was satisfied with that, but she said as she left, "Tomorrow you must start working." When the girl was alone again, she was at her wit's end. In her dejection, she stepped over to the window. There she saw three women arriving, the first of whom had a huge flat foot. The second one had a lower lip that was so big that it hung down over her chin, and the third had a big, wide thumb. They stopped in front of the window, looked up, and asked the girl what was wrong with her. She described her distress, and they offered her their help, saying, "If you agree to invite us to your wedding, not be ashamed of us, and to say we are your cousins, also to seat us at your table, we'll spin all the flax for you, and quickly too." "Most gladly," she replied. "Please come in and start working right away." Then the young girl let the three peculiar women in and made space for the first room, where they sat down and began their spinning. One of them drew the thread and trod on the treadle. The second one moistened the thread, and the third one twisted it and hit the table with her finger. And every time she hit it, a reel of yarn fell to the floor, and it was as fine can be. The young girl concealed the three spinners from the queen whenever she came and checked, and showed her the quantity of spun yarn, so that the queen praised her to the skies. When the first room was empty, they proceeded to the second, then the third, and it too was soon cleared. Now the three women took their leave, saying to the girl, "Don't forget your promise to us. It will bring you happiness." When the girl showed the queen the empty rooms and the big heap of yarn, she arranged for the wedding. The groom, the eldest son, was happy at getting such a skillful, diligent, hard-working wife, and he gave her no end of praise. "I have 3 cousins," the girl said, "and since they've been very good to me, I wouldn't want to forget them now that I'm happy. Please let me invite them to the wedding and let them sit at our table." The queen and the groom said, "Why shouldn't we let you?" Now, when the party began, the 3 spinners came in wearing odd clothes, and the bride said, "Welcome, dear cousins." "Oh," said the groom, "where did you get such ghastly friends?" Then he went over to the one with the huge flat foot and asked, "How did you get such a wide foot?" "From treading," she replied, "from treading." The groom went over to the second one and said, "How in the world did you get that drooping lip?" "From licking," she replied, "from licking." Then he asked the third one, "How did you get that wide thumb?" "From twisting thread," she replied, "from twisting thread." Then the prince was frightened and said, "If that's the case, my beautiful bride must never ever touch a spinning wheel again." And that's how the girl was saved from the tiresome flax spinning, and she lived happily ever after. The end.